Before I start this video, I just want you guys to know that I love this game. I've put so many hours into this game, but I do think that there are some things about this game that the developers need to fix, or that they need to change. I've been playing since full release. I've got about 500 hours in the game. You can tell I love this game. But just because I love it doesn't mean that there aren't issues. Now to start, the way rebirths work isn't good. Basically, you get rewarded for playing the game on the easiest difficulty, and you get the same reward for playing on the hardest difficulty. Now, the way I can explain this is that, let's say you beat a trial in introductory, you get 2 rebirth tokens. Do the same on psychosurgery, and you'll also get 2 rebirth tokens. It doesn't encourage players to play on harder difficulties. And while you can, the easiest way to get rebirth tokens and the most efficient way to get them is by playing on the easiest difficulties. It doesn't encourage the people to play on harder difficulties. Another thing, in the most recent update, they have gotten rid of half of their game, basically. So, for a little context, in the game, there are full trials called, trials. They normally last around 30 to 40 minutes each, and another part of the game are MK challenges, and they normally last around 10 to 15 minutes. And since the most recent update, they have been completely removed from being in the base game. The only way you can play them is by playing the events or escalation therapy. Now, this is an issue because some people want to play these MK challenges outside of the events and stuff. And they want to play them without these variators, And this is an issue because some people want to play every single MK whenever they want, like I said, without the variators. It's a big issue that needs to be fixed, and it just doesn't make sense for why they would remove them. And I would like Red Barrels to fix that at some point. Now, before I move on to the next issue, I'm not just going to keep complaining about this game. I want to also give them ideas that they could use in the future to fix some of these problems. Now, to start with the rebirth issue, it's as simple as this. Introductory gives you maybe 1 rebirth token, standard and intensive give you 2, while psychosurgery would give you 3. That would be an easy and simple way to make it just a million times better. And for MKs, it would be similar. Introductory would probably be like 0 or something, standard and intensive would be 1, and then maybe on psychosurgery it would give you 2. Now, to fix the issue with the MK challenges being gone, if they want Genesis to just have trials and have a cohesive story, then make another tab, and it could be called Genesis 2 or something. And it could have every single MK that has ever been in the game, and you can select which difficulty you want, and it would basically be a second Genesis. That would work perfectly, and it wouldn't mess up with their idea of their original Genesis, and etc. You get what I mean. Another issue I have is the game isn't a stealth game anymore. It's not a stealth horror game anymore. Most people who play the game use the stun rig, noise reduction amp, strong arm amp, and boosted amp, or something around those amps. And those together create the perfect experience for speedrunning. Well, you're probably thinking in your head, oh, just use different rigs or amps. That's the issue. The other rigs and amps are so much worse. It's not even fun to play the game at that point. You have to use the stun rig on harder difficulties, or the game's pretty much impossible. Because every other ability, amp, rig, etc. is just not as good. They don't work as well in harder environments. Basically, they have an issue where most people use the stun rig, noise reduction, etc. to just speed run the game. Now, I don't know exactly how they could fix this, but one way that they could do is by just nerfing some of these things to make it more like a stealth game. By nerfing some of these, the other rigs would become more useful, and it would just make it overall a more balanced game, and it would just work so much better. But basically, the game isn't a stealth game anymore. It's more of an action speedrunning game, if that makes sense. Now, I want to keep this video pretty short, so I'm going to keep this into 4 problems that I think are big problems in the game. And now, for my final issue, I know this is a very hard one for them to fix considering how small their team is, but the game is an online service game, as you know. It needs more consistent updates, and while they have been doing this pretty well recently, it's not like that all the time. For example, the last 2 weeks, and I know they did have the cybersecurity attack thing, but for the last 2 weeks there has been nothing to do in this game. And because of that, and because it's a live service game, that really, really hurts the game. While in other games, having not very consistent updates might hurt it a little bit, but in this game it hurts it a lot. If this game just had a bigger team with more updates, it would be the perfect online multiplayer game, in my opinion. Anyway, those are some of my thoughts and ideas, and things I think Red Barrels could do to change their game for the better. If you have any other ideas I could talk about in another video, put them in the comments, and I'll probably will make a part 2 talking about more things that I think could be fixed in their game. Anyway, you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Yeah, have a great day.